The whisper barely rose above the noise of the busy hotel lobby, but it hit Daniel Cross like a shout inside his chest. He was mid-step, surrounded by assistants, investors, ringing phones, and the polished chaos of a life built on billion-dollar decisions, when he looked down and saw her. A little girl, no older than 7, thin arms wrapped around a worn pink backpack, eyes wide with terror and hope tangled together. She tugged the edge of his tailored coat like it was a lifeline. For a split second, Daniel almost waved her away, almost. Then he met her eyes, and something in him froze. The world went quiet. "Take me to her," he said, without knowing why, without asking questions, without checking his watch. And in that moment, his life split into before and after. If stories of humanity, miracles, and unexpected kindness move you, stay with us, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because stories like this remind us why compassion still matters. The girl's name was Lily. She lived with her mother, Emma, in a cramped apartment 2 blocks from the hotel. Lily explained everything in broken sentences as they rushed through the streets, how her mom worked nights cleaning offices, how she'd been tired for weeks, how that morning she wouldn't wake up no matter how much Lily shook her. Daniel's security protested, his assistant whispered about meetings and stock prices, but Daniel didn't hear them. All he could hear was the pounding of his own heart, louder than it had been in years. The apartment smelled of cleaning chemicals and cold air. Emma lay on a thin mattress, her face pale, lips slightly blue. Daniel knelt beside her, feeling helpless in a way no failed deal had ever made him feel. He called emergency services himself, his voice steady but his hands shaking. Lily clung to him, sobbing silently, pressing her face into his coat as if he were the only solid thing left in the world. At the hospital, time stretched and twisted. Doctors rushed Emma into intensive care. Lily sat in a plastic chair, feet dangling, refusing to let go of Daniel's hand. He stayed. For the first time in years, he didn't leave. He canceled meetings. He ignored calls. He bought Lily juice from a vending machine and listened as she talked about school, about how her mom used to sing to her when the lights went out to save electricity. Daniel nodded, swallowing a lump in his throat he didn't know how to explain. Hours later, a doctor explained the truth: severe exhaustion, untreated infection, and years of pushing past limits. Emma had collapsed because no one had ever stopped to help her. She would live, but recovery would be long, uncertain, expensive. Lily looked up at Daniel with terrified eyes. "She's all I have," she whispered. Those words cracked something open inside him. Daniel had grown up poor, raised by a single father who died young from overwork and stress. Somewhere along the climb to success, he had buried that memory under ambition. Now it was clawing its way back. He paid the hospital bills quietly, without cameras or press. He arranged for Emma's treatment, physical therapy, and a safe place to recover. But the real challenge came later, when Emma woke up and learned what had happened. She was overwhelmed, ashamed, convinced she would never be able to repay him. Daniel sat beside her bed and said something that surprised them both: "You don't owe me anything. You reminded me of something I forgot." As weeks passed, Daniel kept visiting. He helped Lily with homework, awkwardly at first, then with growing warmth. He listened to Emma's fears about returning to work, about failing her daughter. Daniel didn't offer charity, he offered dignity. A flexible job in one of his companies. Healthcare. Stability. Most importantly, respect. The real test came when the media found out. Headlines tried to turn the story into a publicity stunt. Investors questioned his judgment. His board warned him to distance himself. Daniel stood firm. For the first time, he chose people over profit, and something incredible happened. His company culture shifted. Employees volunteered. Policies changed. Lives quietly improved. Months later, Emma stood on her own feet again. Lily ran laughing through a park, healthier, brighter. One evening, Lily hugged Daniel tightly and said, "Sir, when I whispered to you, I didn't think you'd listen." Daniel smiled through tears. "I'm glad you didn't stop whispering." The story spread, not because Daniel wanted it to, but because people needed it. A reminder that one moment of kindness can rewrite destinies. That listening can be an act of heroism. That success means nothing if it can't stop when a child asks for help. So if this story touched your heart, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, the smallest voice carries the biggest miracle, and all it takes is one person willing to stop and say, "Take me to her."